Well, I would like to welcome Shirley to the show of living in Altadore and Marda Loop. Shirley, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's great. So Shirley, you've lived in this community for quite a long time.
That's true. Since about 2004, 2005?
2003?
No, I lived in Crescent Heights when I first moved to Calgary.
In 2003, and you bought your first house in Altadore in 2004. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Great. And you have a long career in the music business.
That's true.
Right. And so you taught at Central Memorial Performing Arts for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, I taught the music program, the string orchestra program at Central Memorial High School from 2004 till 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also played with various orchestras, East Coast, West Coast, and I've also taught privately in my home. And I've also been involved in selling real estate.
Well, wonderful. And so how would you, this current video is more and time with you today as we discuss this, more around your music business. So how would you currently describe your music business?
Well,
if there was a business.
Well, a business implies that it makes money. And I really don't see it as something that makes money. That was one reason I got into education was I didn't want to be depending on gigs for my income, and raising young children. If you're really relying on music, generally you're going to be teaching after school hours and maybe doing gigs in the evenings, which really doesn't go that well with family life. So for me, teaching in the school system was perfect fit. And currently, I sort of see my music business as some pocket money and a great way to connect with people and enrich other people's lives and continue to be creative and make music with other people.
Right. So what is your music business?
Well, my music business is...
what's your instrument?
I play cello. I play cello and I also play piano.
I knew that.
I know you knew that. And a little bit of violin. And I also taught band, so I can do a 30-second demo on all the band instruments. But I wouldn't say I'm proficient. And so that's my music business, is I play with the Symphony of the Kootneys in Cranbrook. We do 5 concerts a year. I play the Calgary Civic Orchestra, which is a volunteer orchestra. And then I teach at the Chinook Music Studio. I teach some private lessons, and I teach an adult cello choir, which is very fun, very fulfilling. And then I often do a little pickup orchestra with some friends, and we'll do a concert presentation at National Music Center or a church or somewhere. But I like to have little mini projects on the go.
Oh, nice. And so do you have a certain, in terms of this our viewers here today, is there a certain kind of person that you could see that may want to reach out to you for any kind of music related thing?
Well, I think that everybody can enrich their lives by playing music, by studying an instrument. The one-on-one time with an instructor is super important. I think in today's digital age, where we're often looking at screens for feedback, there's nothing like having a human actually listen to what you're doing and give you some feedback, and actually maybe touch your hand and say, oh, well, why don't you try this? And just all the slight little adjustments that you make when you're studying a musical instrument, they make such a huge difference in how you feel, how you sound, how you play. And so I think the study of any instrument is beneficial for everyone. So yeah, I'd say if you've never studied an instrument, time is now. I'd say if you used to play an instrument, pick it up again. It's I don't know how many studies there are that prove it helps. It's good for your brain health. It's great for socializing. It's great for your physical. Actually, I've had quite a few students who maybe had a fall and a broken wrist, and cello's been really good rehab for that because it's all about movement and flexibility. So.
Super. And so are you open to having students in your...
Yeah. I currently teach just a handful of students, and so I have room in my schedule for more students.
Okay, great. And tell me a little bit about why you choose the profession of music. I remember in high school you were like, should I go study medicine or music? How did you choose music?
Well, my first year of university, I was trying to make that decision, and I was doing kind of an equal music and science course load, and loved them both, and still didn't make up my mind which I would do. I was in a music program, but with a very heavy science load. And then I went traveling for a year, and I found every place that I went traveling, I would find myself seeking out like the music conservatory or the church or something where there would be music. And I was like, I remember being somewhere in Europe, I think in France, and I was at a music conservatory and kind of like lurking in the hallways outside of practice rooms and like listening to what people were practicing and being very envious of these kids who were on that very directed pathway of studying music. So with those indicators, when I finished that year of travel, I came back to Montreal and went to study music at McGill. Loved it.
Wonderful. Okay. And what drives you to do what you do? What motivates you?
I guess like with music, you're always seeking perfection. You never really get there, but you can always get better. It's an endless road.
Nice.
And I also really feel that it's important for listeners. Like I really feel like we can touch people's lives with music, and that's an incredibly important gift.
Mm-hmm. And what is something that most people wouldn't know about maybe you and your music business?
Probably people wouldn't know that my cello bow is probably worth more than my car. They probably wouldn't know that my budget for strings is probably more than most people's budget for clothing, maybe. I don't know. Actually, that's not true.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know. What might people not know? I don't know. I've played music since I was 9 years old, even younger probably. And it's always been part of my life, full of memories of making music with people, full of friendships. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of being a music maker is the connections that you have with other people.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Prince Edward Island.
Oh, nice. And
One other thing about music lessons too is, it's just really good to have one-on-one time when you're working on something with somebody who's a master at that thing.
Mm.
So I can be very prescriptive in my teaching, like do A, B, C, D, and come back and see me in a week. We can have a lesson like that. Or it can be a lesson of just like, try to feel this phrase in a different way and just sort of giving ideas. So there's so many different ways to approach learning an instrument. I think that's pretty cool.
Nice. And how did you choose this profession?
I don't know. How does anyone choose a profession? It kind of chooses you, right? Like you listen to feedback you get from other people, what kind of responses you get. I've always had very positive feedback from any of my students, any concerts that I've played. So I think that's a big part of it.
Okay. And there's a question here in my script here. It says, what was it like when you first started? Can you relate to maybe your sort of career to then and now? Or is there any difference?
Oh, yeah. Like when I first started, I was going to be a famous cellist and, tour with an orchestra. I don't know, do all kinds of things. But The further I got into the professional world, I just remember seeing, especially at university when you're just finishing, and I stayed in Montreal for a while and tried to make a go of it there. I could see that desperation in musicians' eyes when there was a gig on the horizon, like, am I going to get asked for this gig? Am I going to, and sort of that uncertainty and that like wanting. And I just remember how uncomfortable that made me. And I like that competitive edge that sort of came out. And then, I mean, there's so little funding for musical projects in Canada. It's, I mean, in Quebec, there's more than the rest of Canada. But I mean, to be a fully professional musician where that's where all your income comes from, it's really, really tough. Like it's, you know, you're going to be performing, you're going to be teaching, you're going to be touring. And like that's a hard lifestyle, I think, for many people to keep. Mm-hmm. So I kind of chose the education route because it kind of fit more with how I want my life to go.
Interesting, very good.
And at the same time, I wanted to keep my playing at a high level, which is challenging for teachers because you don't have a lot of time. So playing in different groups has been really important to me through the years.
Tend to be chamber groups, chamber musicians, small groups, yeah.
Yeah, I have a quartet that comes over once a week and we just play and do a couple of concerts a year.
Nice. What would your customers say that they love most about your business?
That's a good question. I think they would probably say that they like the joy, perhaps, that I bring to making music, the skill, I often have a little suggestion that will make a huge difference in somebody's ability to do something. And just probably the connection.
Nice, okay. And what are some odd requests you've had from clients?
Well, I guess one of the oddest ones was playing on the side of a mountain in the baking hot sunshine, and I had to dress my cello up to protect it from the sun.
Was that in Kimberley?
In Kimberley, yeah, with the symphony of the Kootneys. We had to take the chairlift up with our instruments. Well,
and my mother was there, and I was there.
Yeah, you were there too. And
that was really great.
Yeah. So there's different gigs, there were people don't quite get how fragile the instruments are, and they'll want you to sit out in the rain and play, or in the snow. Or I remember trying to play somewhere where my fingers were just too cold to do anything, and that was tricky, very tricky.
Any particularly, the request from a client, you've played at funerals, you've played at weddings. Is there anything that strikes you that was funny or unusual or odd?
No, it's funny. I've played at weddings since I was, 19 or 20, and I don't know, to this day I'll still get teary-eyed. Even I don't know them, maybe I've met them once. I get teary-eyed at weddings, even when I'm playing. At funerals, I actually really love playing at funerals because it's hugely emotional for people, when they're saying goodbye to somebody. And words can only say so much, really. And so when there's silence and then I get to enter the scene with music, I feel like it's, especially I'll always play some solo Bach from the suites. And there's just so much joy and sorrow in all that music. And I really feel like it can take people on a journey of memories with whoever it is we're celebrating.
I've certainly experienced that, and I agree entirely, yeah. So what are your goals over the next year?
I'm going to put together at least 3 concerts, get them on the calendar. I've been really enjoying my work with Kelly Lynch. We've been doing a few presentations around brain neuroscience and understanding how music affects our reactions to things and understanding your brain a little bit more. So that's a really neat workshop. I'd like to do a bit more with that, try to reach out to maybe the corporate world and help employers and employees function better together, understand each other better through understanding their brain and doing that through understanding music.
That's exciting.
That's a really exciting project.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. What are your greatest challenges?
Making time to practice, making time. For me, I think with a musician's kind of brain where, I mean, it's incredible focus to actually play the music and practice and do that stuff. And then all the other things that you have to do to make a concert happen. So I think like pulling all the pieces together is probably my biggest challenge. I probably need a team to help me.
Will you incorporate a team? Like, because you tend to book it, choose the music, choose the musicians, then try and promote it. And the promoting is often kind of, people show up, but...
It's usually the last thing I do. But there's the promotion piece. So yeah, no, I would like to have a team more collaborative. Yeah, a couple young players that might be keen to help me with that.
Good. Okay. And how? Well, we've talked. How did you happen to pick Altadore and Marda Loop as a place to live?
Well, it's an amazing community. Like it's got everything. River Park is like, well, actually, when I moved to Calgary and we were house hunting out in the suburbs, I was like, felt very, very at home. I just couldn't get my head around it. And then I thought about what's utopia for me, and it's being able to walk places, being close to nature, being, and Altadore has all that, you know, like River Park is amazing, and you can run over the bridge to the reservoir. You can walk to school, you can walk to work, you can walk to the grocery store. It's a pretty great place to live.
Okay. And what do you love most about our neighborhood? And what are some of your favorite restaurants in our neighborhood?
I just told you my favorite things about the neighborhood, and my favorite restaurants.
Oops. Oh, I guess we're still recording.
It's hard to seems like it.
Yep, we're still on the go.
My favorite restaurants. Let's see. Well, we just went for our anniversary somewhere. What was that called? Nam? No.
It was Vietnamese. It was like, it wasn't even table service though.
It was pretty tasty.
On 34th Avenue.
Yeah, 34th.
Right behind the Royal Bank.
I've had really, like, probably the best sandwich of my life at Mercantile, which is the new business there on 34th, where the swimming pool used to be.
In the diving shop?
The diving shop, yeah.
Is it called Mercantile?
I think so.
Or Mercantile's across the street by the Highland Liquor Store? It might be called Mercantile.
Isn't that called Merchant Man? Or that's in Charlottetown?
Merchant Man's in Charlottetown.
I like that place.
I think Mercantile is, beside Highland Liquor Store. And that's not the place you're thinking about.
Oh. Well, the place on the corner of 19th Street and 34th Ave. I like
34th
that.
Avenue,
really
where the dive shop used to be. Yep.
Let's see. What else? Phil and Sebastian's is like never lets you down.
Never lets you down. And you don't mind.
Neighbor Cafe, their lunches are like so good, and like it feels like it's really healthy, good food. And yeah, they have great coffee too. I don't eat out that much. I don't like to sit still that long.
No. And have you witnessed any significant changes since moving to the neighborhood?
Where have all the bungalows gone?
Where have they gone?
I think I've heard that a lot of them south of Calgary down towards Nanton.
That's true.
There's a little community of Altadore bungalows down there.
And what do you want to see improved the most in this neighborhood, in our neighborhood? Would you like to see any improvements? What?
I would love it if there was just a little more engagement in our community. Like I'm out walking lots, and in the dog park, people are super friendly, and when you're walking down the street. So I guess I'd like to see people outside more.
Nice.
And keep their sidewalks clean and shoveled. I only fell down once so far this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Like, do you think people don't do a good enough job?
Well, if you go right after the snowfall,
right.
It's tricky. You can't see the ice.
People are pretty good, aren't they?
Pretty good most of the time.
Yeah. And what is something most people don't know about you?
most people don't know me, so they probably don't know a lot about me.
Right.
But I love dogs. They probably know that if they know
They
me.
probably know that.
Maybe they don't know that I was a ski instructor in Switzerland
She was a ski instructor in Switzerland.
when I was 21.
Yes. And they probably don't know that you're a Alberta Cup bronze medalist
They probably don't know that either.
for the skate event.
Yeah, cross country.
Cross country skate event. Bronze medalist, you guys. Alberta Cup.
So fast.
It was a long story. She beat everyone who didn't show up.
That's the thing about Canmore is if you go to a cross country ski race, you could be racing with Olympians and just be left in the dust, or it could be your lucky day and no one else shows up and you get a medal. Sweet.
Yes. Why do you think it's important for people to shop local? Or do you think it's important?
I think it's important. It's good to support people in your neighborhood. It's great. You can probably walk there for one thing. You'll probably meet people. And local businesses help your community stay strong.
Nice.
Because if we all get in our cars and drive to the big box stores, it doesn't make for a lot of individuality or uniqueness in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the highest highs you've had in life so far?
Well, I find every day is pretty damn fun. And I find that to be a really tough question because I really enjoy pretty much everything I do in my life.
That's great. Okay. And this is a funny question. I think it probably should be admitted, but what are some of the lowest lows you had in life so far? And what got you through it?
Well, I guess when we first moved to Calgary, and I think I was like the only Maritimer that came out west and took a pay cut. I ended up working at a private school my first year here and was making less than I was in Charlottetown. And we had 2 young kids, and I found that financial stress to be very difficult. And how did I get through it? I actually, because I was away from family and friends in a new place, I signed up for a coaching program, and that was very helpful for me to have somebody that was, objective and helpful to point me in the right direction.
Very good. Makes sense.
And then when my kids gave me a pot brownie, that was a tough few hours. That just happened. Top of mind.
In Golden, very recently, where we are right now.
I'm just getting over it now. Not recommend it.
Not recommend it, no. And what's the most memorable experience you've had working with a customer?
Well, actually, I currently teach several adults, one who started with 0 experience on cello or music, and one who started with some experience on other instruments. And been teaching them for probably 3-4 years now. And I never thought that adults could become fluent, communicative musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always thought it was just like a little hobby to get them. I didn't always think that. But, I didn't take it that seriously when somebody at 60 comes to me and wants to take lessons. I was like, oh, this will be interesting for a little while, and they'll probably quit. But anyway, these 2 students, one is in her 40s, the other's in her 60s. They have proven me totally wrong on that and have become very fluent musicians and very engaged, very committed. They practice, they come to lessons, they actually record lessons and transcribe my notes that I've told them, which is kind of amazing to me, and just made a ton of progress. That's probably my favorite thing with customers. Nice.
That's a nice story. And I know at least one of those great musicians you're speaking about. Good. What are some of your favorite things to do in this neighborhood? You've already mentioned a few.
Dog walking.
Yeah, that's true.
I love going for runs. I love going for bike rides from the neighborhood. I like to play tennis. I haven't done that enough, but I do like to go play tennis. And swimming in the river in the summer. Yeah, that's amazing.
Shh.
Don't tell
Some
anyone.
people think it's bad.
Yeah. It's okay.
And there's really only like how many days a year you can do it?
Probably 5.
Like when it's really hot enough and you want to.
Yeah. And you want to be as close to the dam as possible. That's where the water's cleanest and freshest.
Right. And do you think most Altadorians and folks from Marda Loop know what you're talking about when you
No.
say close to the dam?
No.
Shall we just keep it secret?
Secret. If anyone wants to know, they can call. They can reach out.
Okay. What else do you do besides work?
Well, let's see. I do lots of different sports. I like to go to Repsol, do my workouts there. I like to do yoga. I love to cook.
You like to come here to Nicholson.
I like to come to Nicholson. I like to go back east and visit family, and love to read.
And paint too.
Paint, yes, I love painting.
She's a great painter.
And I like to listen to a lot of music.
Nice. Anything else going on that customers should know about you?
No, it's never too late to pick up an instrument and start learning new things. Great for your brain. Very good.
What is the best way for customers to reach you?
Probably email or phone. My slwright555@gmail.com. Or also through you, my husband, Bryon Howard. You usually know where I am.
Yeah, but just contact you. Are you on Instagram?
I actually am on Instagram. I'm Shirley is cool.
You can tell.
Because I'm such a nerd.
And so, okay, great. Well, we'll put all the contact information in the show notes for folks if they're wanting to reach out. And, well, just a few more questions, Shirley. Who from your childhood had the biggest impact on you, and what did that person teach you?
That's a good question. I had a couple of great teachers. Jen Clement and John Clement were my strings teachers from grade 4 till right through high school. And they were so encouraging and created such a nice social environment for us, and lots of trips and travel and learning great repertoire. That was very fun. And I wouldn't have been a musician if they hadn't been in my lives, I don't think, my life. And probably one of my best friends, Jennifer Darby. We had a lot of fun growing up, and sort of spent a lot of years together figuring out life. And probably you when I met you in high school, and I was a pretty straight ahead, studious type kid, and I learned to take bigger risks once I met you. Yeah.
And what's your current family situation?
Well, I have a husband and a dog, and my son.
I know that. I know.
My son he's been with us since October, and he's heading off to travel soon. And my daughter lives in Victoria.
Wonderful. Okay.
And I have family back on the East Coast, so I'm often heading back there to visit
Your dad.
my dad and my sister.
And what does the future hold for you?
Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you, but I don't.
Okay. And if a young person asked you for advice on how to live their life, what would you tell them?
Get good at what you want to be good at. Like, work at it. Find the best people to study with. Surround yourself with other people who are doing that thing. Like for me, when I decided I wanted to study music, I was at Mount Allison University, and I was like, I think there's maybe 2 other cello players there, neither who were that serious, and everybody thought I was amazing. Oh my God, you're so good. And I knew that I was not that good, because I could listen to recordings and I could not do what those recordings were. So I went away to McGill, which was a much bigger program, and kind of found myself at the bottom of the barrel and climbed my way up over the years and practiced like 5 hours a day for 5 years. And it really, sort of that really focused time really set me up well for life. So I really think education and surrounding yourself with people who do what you love.
Nice. Okay, young people.
Okay.
Surround yourself with people that do what you love.
Yeah, and do it
maybe,
well.
Maybe at a higher level, right?
Yeah,
So you keep
yeah.
learning.
You want to be always with people
Sure,
better.
I think I have a final question for you. When your life is over, how do you want to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as somebody who is fun, engaging, giving, cares about others, and kind of like brings joy to other people's lives.
Very nice. Shirley, thank you so much for being a guest on my show today.
Oh, Bryon, it's been my pleasure.
I look forward to having you back someday on the show. I'm sure our viewers are going to be very thrilled.
Where will you ever find me?
I wish
You have my contact info, right?
I will know how to find you for sure. So, is there anything else you'd like to leave our viewers with today?
No.
Well,
I'm good.
Folks, thanks very much. If you're interested in learning more about music, or if you'd like to pick up the cello, Shirley may be a fit, may not be a fit, but could advise you on who could be a good fit. Is that right?
Yeah, I know lots of great cello teachers, and in all the quadrants of the city too. So not everyone lives in Marda.
No.
Nope.
Thanks very much, folks. Over and out. Say bye, Shirley.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Here it is, about December 27th, 2019. Entering a new decade.